Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Gorman and I am the Chief Information Officer of Premier University. Today I would like to talk about the security breach we had and how we're going to mitigate the failures we had in protecting the student data. Now we live in a world of constant cyber attacks. We see it everywhere in the news, we see it on social media, we see it on Google, we see it on Yahoo, we see it on Bing, all the different websites. There's always some sort of attack going on in the cyber world. And until now, it hasn't been talked about nearly enough. And I believe that it needs to be talked about more. And we need people in place to defend the systems. Now, on the agenda today is that we're going to have an introduction about the security breach and what happened, the summary of weaknesses and mitigation. There's going to be, we identify the weaknesses, and I will also explain the process and the mitigation that we're going to take to be non-technical, so I will explain it. Improving Premier University's information security program, we're going to look into that. Framework for improvements utilizing the CIA triad, and as well as having the GLBA compliance and how we're going to comply to it. Also, we're going to go over why the improvements are so important for Premier University and why it matters, and then we're going to explain a few things. Now, the GLBA is Graham-Leach-Bliley Act. It's also called the Financial Services Modernization Act of 1999. So with that act, it has helped us and multiple universities to protect data. The CIA triad, which I will go over later, is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. I will explain each one of those, what they are, and how we're going to comply. So, the security breach happened a few months ago. It recently experienced the data breach, and the attackers gained unauthorized access to student financial aid records. Investigations also revealed that weak authentication systems were exploited. This incident was more than just technical, it shook the student trust in the university and their parents and raised concerns about regulatory compliance with the board. It became clear that immediate improvements were necessary. So some of the weaknesses that we found was that after assessing the incident, we identified these weaknesses. The laptops were not password protected nor encrypted. Also, because it wasn't protected and the employee took it off campus, when they brought it back, we did not enforce not having the password protection because we didn't have it in place at the time. The network monitoring was limited, the intrusion was undetected. There was insufficient multi-factor authentication, unpatched and outdated software systems. Also, faculty and staff had limited cybersecurity awareness training, which is a big thing. And this is why it's so important that we do this. With the network monitoring that was limited, making it difficult to detect the intrusions, the backups were inconsistent, which could have left us vulnerable to ransomware, and the data on the laptops were not encrypted, nor sign in or sign out policy was enforced, as I said. So because the faculty and staff did not have the training, because of that, it increased our risk of accidental data exposure. There was excessive web domains that were increasing the attack surface, and there was a lack of a robust incident response plan. And that is one of the biggest things I'm bringing in is the incident response plan. Every university, every company, government, we all need a response plan. So here are some of the weaknesses and mitigations. that we are going to put in place, and also I'll explain a little bit of the process. So the weakness is the laptops were not password protected nor encrypted. So in order to fix this issue, we're going to implement BitLocker or File Vault, I haven't decided, and enforce password protected logins. So the mitigation that will take place is that it will prevent unauthorized access if a laptop is lost or stolen. The password protection was not enforced. So we are going to enforce the password policies through Active Directory and SSO, and I will have some sort of paper trail of when this happens, and we will talk to an employee if this happens again, and it will be documented. The mitigation will be that it's stronger authentication reduces brute force attacks and unauthorized logins. Also, another weakness was that the network monitoring was limited, so the intrusion was undetected. We need to employ getting a SIEM system. So the SIEM system is extremely important. A SIEM system is a security, information, and event management system. This will contain 24/7 monitoring, intrusion detection, and anomaly alerts. So we will be alerted when something looks not right. We will be alerted when it seems there is somebody trying to get into our system. We will find them. So this will increase visibility into suspicious activities. We also found that another weakness was that we had insufficient multi-factor authentication. So we're going to roll out a multi-factor authentication, which is MFA, if you weren't sure what that was, for all critical systems, VPN, email, and financial aid portals. So we will require the MFA for faculty, staff, and students accessing the sensitive resources. So the mitigation is that it does add a second layer of defense, and because we didn't even have a proper layer of defense, this will help us to get stronger defense by making stolen passwords far less useful to attackers. We're going to implement a system that's going to fix this issue. So a couple of more weaknesses that we found was the unpatched and outdated software systems. So with this, the process will be we will establish an automated patch management system, possibly Wireshark or another system, and routine vulnerability scanning and maintaining a patch calendar for critical systems. So we will monitor this. And in order to mitigate this weakness, we are going to reduce exposure to known exploits, and this also closes security gaps before the attackers can take advantage of our systems. So another one that we found, which is an easy one that we need to mitigate, we need to implement, is that the faculty and staff had limited cybersecurity training. So there was no awareness training happening. So the process is that we're going to launch an annual mandatory training with phishing simulations and role-specific training. For example, the financial aid office staff is going to be included on this. The mitigation is that we're reducing human error. We're increasing the ability to identify phishing attempts, which is huge. Phishing is a huge thing that's going on right now, and build a culture of security. Now, phishing also, it can be undetected, but if you get any sort of weird emails or any sort of something that just looks off, it's usually a phishing attempt. Another weakness that we found was that there was excessive web domains, which was increasing the attack surface, so it helped spread it. The process that we're taking is that we will conduct an inventory of all university-owned domains, decommissioned, unused ones as well, and also we will decommission those that have been infected. And we will enforce a central domain management. So there will be a way to find it centrally. To mitigate this, we're going to lower the exposure to attacks via the forgotten, insecure, or unmonitored domains. So we're going to fix that problem. There was also a final weakness that we found. There's a lack of a robust incident response plan process. So the process is that we're going to develop and document an incident response plan with defined roles, playbooks, and a regular tabletop exercises for employees to practice. We will be adding on a few more analysts. That it will cost the university, but in the long run, it will save the university from huge settlements that we don't want to have to deal with. The mitigation is that it will ensure a coordinated, fast, and effective response to incidents, reducing impact and downtime. So because we didn't have this in place, it took a long time to find this, too long. And it also, in order to stop it, we had to bring down the system, which was also a long process. It took several weeks to get this fixed. We were down for a couple of days. We had to go ahead and fix the systems from within. So next, I'm going to be talking about improving our information security program. So in order to improve it, we need to realize what our part is in utilizing the CIA triad. Now, as I said, the CIA stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So confidentiality means that only people with the right permission can access and use the information. This involves protecting sensitive student and financial data from unauthorized access through encryption, access controls, and multi-factor authentication. Our integrity means that information systems, so integrity is ensuring the accuracy of records, which means that information systems and their data are accurate. Integrity ensures that changes can't be made to data without appropriate permission. We had too many hands in the bucket, so to speak. This ensures that financial aid records and academic data remain accurate and unaltered using secure database configurations, hashing, antivirus, and change control procedures. So with availability, that just means simply reliable access to the services. We need to be able to get access to the system properly, and only specific people that are authorized can get access. So we're going to have an implementation of encryption data to be periodically updated and to ensure data is encrypted. For the implementation of MFA, according to all university accounts. So all university accounts will have a multi-factor authentication. There will also be an implementation of 24/7 monitoring with a security information and event management system to detect the threats. That's the SIEM I was talking about. And then so we can detect them quicker and faster. There's also going to be an implementation of creating a robust backup and disaster recovery plan, ensuring that critical data can be restored quickly. Implementation of strengthened patch management and vulnerability scanning also will reduce exploitable system weaknesses. So what is GLBA? The GLBA, Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, is a U.S. federal law that requires financial institutions, including universities like us, that handle student financial aid to safeguard sensitive financial information. The university is treated as a financial institution under GLBA because it processes student loans and financial aid. Non-compliance can lead to federal penalties, loss of student loan program eligibility, and reputational damage, which we obviously have. This is why I'm coming in. Compliance demonstrates responsibility, accountability, and trustworthiness in handling sensitive data. The rules of the GLBA are safeguarding rules, the safeguard rules, the privacy rule, and the pretexting provisions. So a safeguard rule, which is part of the GLBA, I'm just explaining it before I go through this slide, is it requires institutions to develop, implement, and maintain a written information security program. Must include administrative, technical, and physical safeguards to protect consumer and customer information. It applies directly to student financial aid data processed by a university. The privacy rule, it governs the collection and disclosure of non-public personal information, or NPI. It requires institutions to provide privacy notices to customers explaining how their information is shared and protected. The pretexting provisions part of it is prohibiting the practice of pretexting, which is social engineering or impersonation, to gain access to personal financial information. The GLBA requires universities to protect student financial aid data. To comply, we now will encrypt all student financial records, both in storage and during transmission. We will apply the principle of least privilege to restrict access to only authorized personnel. Additionally, we established a vendor risk management procedure ensuring that third-party providers handling the student data meet our security standards. So, one, we need to update our security processes to comply with the GLBA. Two, we need to encrypt all student financial records. We need to limit access to specific people. Fourth, the GLBA requires the data collection to be limited to legitimate business needs. 5, we must utilize a robust security practice like encryption or access controls or MFA and adhere to the publicly stated and privacy policies. And then 6, we need to implement patch management. To get the compliance, we must establish mandatory periodic cybersecurity training for employees with a focus on phishing and social engineering and other issues that have come up. We are encrypting both in storage and during transmission and utilizing the MFA for laptops. Only authorized access to laptops and computer systems are approved. Any unapproved persons will be removed from administration rights. Those will be removed. Incident response plan is being developed. So we are getting the incident response plan developed now. We're in the process of it. Regular audits and penetration testing to validate defenses. Now, why are these improvements important? These improvements are not just technical upgrades, they're critical to our mission. Protecting student data ensures privacy and builds confidence in this university. Compliance with federal laws avoids costly penalties and investigations. Stronger defenses will reduce the financial and reputational costs of the breaches. Most importantly, these efforts strengthen the trust that students, parents, and donors place in Premier University. So we want to rebuild the confidence. We want to have a stronger defense. This will strengthen the trust, and we want to have better training for our employees to have a stronger defense, preparation, and offense when needed. Security awareness training is going to be an annual required training for all employees. Monthly phishing simulations and real-time feedback when mistakes happen is going to occur. Onboarding training for new hires and student employees, not just management onboarding, but all employees. And gamified learning to keep engagement high, and role-specific modules for high-risk departments like financial aid, IT, and HR. Some of the next steps is that we're going to have ongoing security audits, as I said, and penetration testing, expand faculty and staff cybersecurity training, and invest in SIEMs, or also the AI-driven detection and zero trust. We're going to develop the incident response plan that we are currently writing. So we have fixed all the weaknesses. We have strengthened our compliance with the GLBA. We are working on that. We're launching the awareness of this incident and how to prevent other incidents from happening. We also are stronger and more resilient and future ready by implementing all these changes. There will be now a clear roadmap for a sustainable security with all of these implementations that I'm requesting for us to do and that we have started. And we will get reaffirmation that we are protecting students and our community's data. So it will reaffirm commitment to protecting the student and the community, and our board members to get trust back. So if you have any questions on this, or if you would like to see my incident response plans, or any other systems that we are going to begin and invest in and hiring the employees, don't hesitate to ask, email me, phone number, and also you can find me on the website. So thank you for your attention and have a blessed day.